Awesome, and we're on the air. Um, so we'll just go ahead and go through the questions. They're both of our answers are on the discussion board, but I guess we can just kind of go over them. The first one, from your personal experience, what have been key factors in effective teams? So the first thing I said was teamwork, which I think is kind of an obvious one. You have a team, it's an effective key behavior is being able to work as a team, allowing doing, and then the next thing I wrote kind of went along with that, and that was just kind of pulling your own weight and doing your own job. I remember in high school when I played football, one of the things our coaches would say was, don't worry about what the guy next to you is doing. Just do your job, because if you try to do his job, then there's no one to do yours. I think that's another important thing, is everybody just focusing on what they need to do. And then once their job is done, you can look outwards and see what else needs help.
Yeah, I'd agree. When you said in high school, whenever there was a group project in high school, I don't know what it was. I just dreaded it because I did really well in most of my classes. But when I got put in groups, I mean, with it being high school, a lot of people don't take it seriously, and it just falls apart because there's no commitment, there's no accountability. You know, people who don't do anything regularly aren't going to do anything for your project either. At least that's how I felt, and that's how it happened a lot to me. And so some of the things I said was commitment. You got to have a team that's committed. If someone's not interested, it's like they're not going to contribute their full potential. And then I said work. You got to work. You can't just sit by and watch other people do it. And then I said accountability, and that kind of goes together with those two.
Yeah.
Is there has to be some follow through of making sure people do what they need to do, and then competence. But then I think the biggest key, and kind of from reading this case, is communication. You know, a team communicates really well. You can kind of get by those other obstacles as long as you communicate well, because you can express those things. You know, express your frustration or your concern or things like that. So.
No, I agree totally, and that was. I also put that something from the reading, in the article we read, was that everybody has an equal voice, and that kind of goes along with the communication. They noticed that got the same amount of time to speak, and the social sensitivity, you don't judge somebody for what they're saying. You don't judge them for their opinions. You just everybody has a voice, and you respect their voice. And I think that goes along with the communication, because if people aren't willing to respect each other and everybody doesn't have a voice, then it's going to be harder to communicate.
Yeah, I thought that was really. Can you hear me, Tyler? Okay. But Tyler? Sorry, Tyler. I must have a bad connection tonight.
Oh, good. Lexi just texted us. It looks like she thought it was tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. I see that now.
So maybe she'll hop on here if she's available. But yeah, so that's.
Yeah, but I like what you're saying, how in that case, in that second group, everybody communicated freely. And I think that's super important, because you got to mesh, and communicating helps you mesh. You know, telling jokes, getting to know people, you have to communicate to do all those things. So, yeah.
I agree. Okay. So let's move on to the next question. What do norms have to do with effective team building? What would your current B321 norm do? Unspoken norms? Are they healthy? If not, what could be changed? So we can get this one. I was just kind of thinking, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're kind of cutting in and out, but let me. I'll be back in just a second.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna try something here. Can you hear me, Tyler? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so just no, it's okay. The next question, what do group norms have to do with effective team building? And what would you say your current B321 group norms include? Are they healthy? And if not, what can be changed? What are your thoughts on that?
So group norms, they set the tone for the whole team building experience. If your group is so serious and self-centered, it really puts a damper on your growth as a team. You made really well, and I think that's kind of how that first group that we studied was. Like they were talented individuals, but they didn't mesh well as a team because they were so focused on themselves, or so judgmental. They weren't open to other things that it just kind of tore them apart in a sense. And so, I mean, they're critical with if you don't have a good team norm, your team won't grow. It won't produce good results.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
And just to go with that second part, our group norms, I mean, we've only had one meeting, and so it's kind of hard to say, but I thought last week's meeting went great. There was no, like big disagreements or things like that. We did have some disagreements and opinion and stuff like that, but it was open and no one got offended. So far, I think we're great, and I would like to get everybody together, but so far no problems there. I don't think.
I agree 100% as well with that. I feel like last week we all had different ideas, and each of us was willing to think in the same way that the other people were thinking in, and so I feel like we were able to learn more by accepting each other's opinions and thoughts. With the case we were studying last week, I thought that was really great. So, yeah, and I think I think our group norm is pretty healthy.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Okay, let's move on to the next question. How does logical safety in a team increase overall effectiveness? What are the roles of communication and empathy in creating psychological safety?
So I'll go ahead and say what I put. Okay. For psychological safety, kind of how we were talking earlier, you have to have good team norms in order to have a successful team. And if you don't feel comfortable expressing your opinion, you won't be able to contribute what you want to say or what you think is best. And so, psychological safety is key in order to get that group moving, I guess. And I really like how it had that example of the team where the leader, he had cancer, and he totally set the stage he totally opened himself up. I mean, he became exposed to however they wanted to take it, and he really went out on a limb, and I think that sets the tone for the rest of the group, and um, it definitely brought a lot of empathy into it. And I think that's important, because if you don't feel empathy for each other, you're just totally gonna rip that person apart. But when you come with empathy, you try to understand and you try to console and comfort that person. And those type of feelings in relationship build that trust, because now it's like he shared something personal with me. I feel like I can trust that person because he doesn't have a second agenda, like a hidden agenda. He's really genuine.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, I feel like in a lot of groups, there's always a couple of people, maybe not a group as small as ours, but there's usually somebody that is hesitant to share their ideas because they're afraid of getting attacked. And I think I've also seen in other groups where there's that person that just kind of shoots down every idea that's not theirs. So I feel like having psychological safety in a group helps, because it lets those people that might be a little bit more shy have their voice heard. They're gonna feel more comfortable, and that what you were saying also along those same lines goes into the next question. How does sharing a personal experience and being vulnerable influence team dynamics? And you said it's the trust. The people, when people know that there's psychological safety, when they know that you're being vulnerable by opening up and trusting them with what you're sharing, they're going to trust you and share what they feel. And I feel like, and in that same example, they said that like that people started like opening up about health issues and stuff, but then they got back on topic, and it just said that everybody was speaking a lot more honestly after that. And I think it's funny that those words trust and honesty were in there together, because I feel like those go hand in hand. The more honest you are, the more trusting somebody is, the more honest they're going to be. So really awesome.
Yeah, to go along with what you're saying, just last week when we first met, I mean, that was the first time we ever met each other. And
yeah,
I think in our group, we all shared some sort of personal experience from the past. You know, I know mission stuff was brought up and things like that. And I just think it gives you something you can connect with, something you can relate to. And it shows that they're willing to contribute. They're not afraid of, us taking what they say and tearing it apart. And, there's those people that, for whatever reason, you trust them the very first time you meet them. I don't know if it's like when you shake their hand or the way they greet you, but you can just feel that they're genuine and that they care about you. And there's those other people where you shake their hand and they talk to you, and you can just feel like, oh, this guy doesn't care about me at all. He's just all here for the money, or, to get this advantage over, or he's just here to talk himself up. And I mean, it totally sets the stage for failure or for success, just off a lot of first encounters.
What can you do as an individual to initiate team behavior? And what I trust, I feel like that's kind of successes Google saw, were respect and trust. When we respect someone's voice, their opinions, and their ideas, and then we trust them with our own ideas, there's going to be a lot better communication, and everybody's going to work together a lot more smoothly.
Yeah. I kind of said something similar, kind of what I mentioned earlier is, communication. You have to be willing to talk to people and take action. I always love it when there's people that when you come together, like, well, what do you want me to do? I can do this. I can do that. They don't wait until it's like, okay, we have to do this. Who volunteers? it
Yeah.
always makes things go smoother when it's like, oh, I'll do it this week. I'll do this. I'll do that. And people are willing to contribute and take action because they kind of just set the stage to get the ball rolling. Once the ball starts rolling, then they're like, oh, I can do it next week. I can do this. Yeah, let me contribute that. Yeah, and so I think immediate action definitely helps team behavior because they're like, oh, I want to contribute too. He's already doing this. I want to do my part as well. And I think that definitely helps.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. And I think working as a team is definitely a personal thing. We have to focus on ourselves and what we're doing before we can even think about our team members. And that's if everybody's worrying about what they're doing and that they're contributing, then everybody works better together. So definitely agreed. And that's basically it. That's the questions. That's any other last comments?
Let me look at the case one more time. I downloaded it and marked some stuff up. I really thought it was interesting how when they were doing the research, they couldn't establish just like one thing that made the group function right. Like it was one thing for another group, but one thing for a different group. And I think that's true. I mean, I'm sure you've had different groups during classes and things like that. And, some that function, some that don't. And at least for me, there's been some groups that we just click really well because we're all really competent. And so because that works so well, we're just really it's really easy to build off other people. But then other groups, the reason why we work so well together is just because we communicate really well. People may not be as competent, but they make up for it in communication. And I don't know, I just thought that was really interesting how they couldn't put it down to just one thing the leaders did or something like that. It had to do with how the whole group meshed. And I think they nailed I think they nailed it with, you need to have communication and good norms and things like that. But from there, it could be different combinations that make the group really successful or not successful.
No, I agree. And I like what you pointed out about being competent and being able to communicate because that's how I felt about our group last week. I felt like all of us came to the meeting prepared, all read through the case, and all our questions and did our case write up. And I felt like that added to the meeting. And so in a way, we were competent. But then also, I felt like our communication was great. We all took turns, and I felt like we had an equal time speaking for each of us. So I think that's why last week's meeting went so well. And I feel like this week's meeting it's not very hard to have a discussion if it's just two people.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think that's
a really awesome point you pointed out.
What was that?
Thank you for sharing.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome.
That's an awesome. Well, nothing else. Thank you for your time and your participation.
Yeah, no problem. Was it Lexi that was going to do it next week?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess.
So we'll just make sure he remembers next week that it's on Tuesday.
And then maybe you're going to send out the email with the links to the YouTube video. Maybe you could put it in there, just a reminder to everybody. And I'm going to try to reach out to Dennis and Artie.
Okay.
And I might email Brother Sands just to see, maybe one of them dropped or something. I don't know, but I just hate to have a group of 2 again next week. So,
yeah, it'd be nice to have everybody.
So, anyways, sounds good.
Awesome. Well, you have a great rest of your night.
You too. See you, Tyler.